Prince William was known throughout the kingdom not only for his royal blood, but also for his striking good looks. Maidens in the village would giggle and blush whenever he passed by. Some even staged elaborate accidental encounters near the palace gates, hoping to catch his eye. Mothers, too, saw him as the perfect match for their daughters. They would subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, push their daughters to attend events where the prince might be present, whispering dreams of royal grandeur into their ears. The prince, however, found all this attention overwhelming and insincere. One afternoon, while strolling through the palace gardens, Prince William overheard two maids gossiping about him. One said, "He's so handsome, but I bet he's arrogant." The other replied, "I just want to be the queen." This conversation sparked an idea in the prince's mind. He realized that many women were interested in him for his title and appearance, not for who he truly was. He needed a way to see beyond the surface, to find someone who would love him for himself. The next day, a royal decree was announced throughout the kingdom. Prince William, it stated, had tragically lost his sight due to a rare illness. The kingdom mourned, and the whispers began. Who will marry a blind prince? Some wondered. The mothers who had once eagerly promoted their daughters now steered them away from the palace. The accidental encounters ceased. The prince, though saddened by the change, knew his plan was in motion. The news of Prince William's blindness spread like wildfire. The once adoring glances turned into pitying stares. The mothers who had once dreamed of their daughters marrying the prince now whispered about the misfortune of it all. Some villagers openly questioned who would want to marry a blind man. The whispers reached the palace walls, but Prince William remained resolute. He knew that this was the only way to find true love. Prince William announced that he would choose a bride from among the kingdom's maidens, blind or not. He would test their kindness and compassion, virtues he now valued above all else. The first test was simple: bring a gift to the palace for the ailing prince. Many came, but their gifts were extravagant and showy: jewels, silks, and exotic fruits. The prince, with his eyes closed, could sense the insincerity behind their offerings. He longed for something genuine. Disappointed, Prince William devised a second test. He announced that he needed someone to read to him, to keep him company during his long, dark days. Many women volunteered, eager to be close to the prince, even in his condition. However, their reading was stilted and unnatural. They focused more on their pronunciation and appearance than on the story itself. The prince felt like he was being performed for, not comforted. For the third test, Prince William asked the maidens to help him in the palace gardens. He said he missed the beauty of the flowers and wanted someone to describe them to him. Again, many came, but their descriptions were superficial. They spoke of colors and shapes, but they didn't capture the essence of the flowers, their fragrance, or the way they swayed in the breeze. The prince grew increasingly disheartened. Was true kindness truly so rare? Among the many maidens, there was a young woman named Mary. She was kind and gentle, but she was also poor and plain. She hadn't participated in the previous tests, believing she had nothing to offer a prince. However, when she heard about the garden test, she felt a pang of sympathy for the prince. She loved the gardens and knew she could describe them in a way that would bring him joy. Mary approached the palace hesitantly, carrying a simple bouquet of wildflowers she had gathered herself. She didn't offer jewels or silks, just the humble beauty of nature. When she presented the flowers to Prince William, she didn't boast or try to impress him. She simply said, "These are for you, Your Highness. I hope they bring you some comfort." For the second test, Mary volunteered to read to the prince. She didn't try to put on airs or impress him with her knowledge. She simply read with feeling. her voice soft and soothing. She chose stories of adventure and love, of courage and kindness. The prince found himself captivated by her voice and her interpretation of the stories. He felt a connection to her that he hadn't felt with any other woman. When it was time for the garden test, Mary took Prince William's hand and led him through the flower beds. She didn't just describe the colors and shapes of the flowers, she described their essence. She told him about the velvety texture of the rose petals, the sweet fragrance of the jasmine, and the way the sunflowers followed the sun. She helped him feel the garden with his hands, to experience its beauty through touch and smell. As Mary spent more time with Prince William, a genuine connection began to form between them. They talked for hours about their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. The prince found himself drawn to her kindness, her intelligence, and her unwavering compassion. Mary, in turn, saw beyond the prince's title and appearance. She saw a man who was kind, thoughtful, and deeply saddened by his loss of sight. She began to care for him deeply. However, not everyone was happy about Mary's growing closeness to the prince. Some of the other maidens, jealous of her attention, began to whisper and plot against her. They accused her of using the prince's blindness to her advantage. They spread rumors about her, claiming she was only after the throne. Mary, however, remained steadfast in her kindness and refused to be drawn into their petty games. One day, while Mary was describing the sunset to Prince William, he couldn't contain himself any longer. He reached out and gently touched her face, his fingers tracing her features. Mary, he said, his voice trembling, I can see. Mary gasped, shocked and confused. The prince then explained his plan, how he had pretended to be blind to find a woman who loved him for himself. Mary was initially hurt and angry. She felt betrayed by the prince's deception. She had genuinely cared for him, believing him to be blind. Now, she wondered if her feelings were real or if they were just a result of his charade. She turned to leave, but the prince stopped her. He begged her to understand, to see that he had done it all for her, to find a love that was true and unconditional. If you truly care for me, Mary said, her voice filled with emotion, then you will trust me. You will give me time to decide if I can forgive you for this deception. The prince, humbled by her words, agreed. He knew he had made a mistake, and he was willing to do whatever it took to earn her forgiveness and her love. Mary left the palace and returned to her simple life in the village. She spent days reflecting on her feelings for the prince, trying to separate the genuine emotions from the confusion and hurt caused by his deception. The prince, meanwhile, waited anxiously for her decision. He knew he had risked everything, but he believed that Mary was worth it. He spent his days regretting his actions and hoping for a second chance. After weeks of contemplation, Mary finally made her decision. She realized that despite the prince's deception, her feelings for him were real. She loved him for his kindness, his intelligence, and his compassion. She also understood his motives. He had been desperate to find a love that was true and unconditional, and he had taken a drastic measure to achieve it. Mary returned to the palace and told Prince William her decision. She forgave him for his deception, and she confessed her love for him. The prince was overjoyed. He had found his true love, and she loved him for who he was, not for his title or appearance. The kingdom rejoiced at the news of their engagement. They had initially pitied the blind prince, but now they celebrated his good fortune in finding such a kind and loving bride. Prince William and Mary were married in a grand ceremony, attended by people from all over the kingdom. The prince, no longer pretending to be blind, gazed at his beautiful bride with love and admiration. They ruled the kingdom together, with kindness, compassion, and wisdom, and they lived happily ever after, proving that true love can conquer all, even deception and adversity.